The metal cylinder hung from Dr. Maya Chen's belt, catching the artificial lights of Harmony 7 space station. She touched it briefly, a nervous habit she'd developed over the past 3 months. The weight was familiar, comforting. Her grandfather had given it to her before he died, though she never quite understood why he'd been so secretive about it. Dr. Chen, they're arriving, said Ambassador Williams, adjusting his formal jacket. His hands shook slightly. Maya understood. This was humanity's first real contact with alien civilizations. Everything had to be perfect. The diplomatic chamber was enormous, built specifically for this meeting. Humans had constructed Harmony 7 in neutral space, between Earth's solar system and the border of what the aliens called collective space. 4 different alien species governed the collective, and all of them were coming to decide if humans were worthy of joining their galactic community. Maya stood with the other human representatives. She wasn't really a diplomat. She was an engineer, someone who built things and solved problems. But Ambassador Williams had insisted she come along. We need to show them we're more than just politicians, he'd said. We need to show them human innovation. The doors opened with a soft hiss. Maya's breath caught in her throat. The first aliens to enter looked like giant insects. The Vrath walked on 4 legs with 2 smaller arms folded against their thorax. Their eyes were compound, reflecting rainbow colors in the light. Behind them came the quorum, towering beings made of what looked like living crystal. They didn't walk so much as glide across the floor, their bodies chiming softly with each movement. 2 other species followed, but Maya barely processed them. Her mind was too busy trying to accept that aliens were real, here standing just meters away from her. "Greetings, representatives of Earth," said one of the quorum. The voice came from inside Maya's head, translated by the device everyone wore behind their ear. "I am Resonance of Truth, speaker for the Collective Council." Ambassador Williams stepped forward. "Welcome to Harmony 7. On behalf of humanity, we thank you for this meeting." The initial formalities passed in a blur. Maya stood quietly observing everything. The aliens were polite but distant. She noticed how they looked at the human technology in the room, their expressions unreadable but somehow dismissive. One of the Vrath delegates actually touched a human computer console and made a clicking sound that the translator interpreted as laughter. "Your computing systems are charmingly simple," the Vrath said. "We used similar technology perhaps 12,000 years ago." Maya felt her jaw tighten. The human computers were state-of-the-art, quantum processors that could calculate faster than anything humanity had built before. And this alien was calling them simple. "We understand we have much to learn," Ambassador Williams said smoothly. "That's why we hope to join the collective, to share knowledge and grow together." "Indeed," Resonance of Truth replied. The crystalline being turned slightly, and Maya felt like those alien eyes were looking right through her. "What is that device on your belt, Dr. Chen?" Maya blinked, surprised to be addressed directly. Her hand instinctively went to the metal cylinder. It's a personal item. A family heirloom." A young Vrath attendant moved closer, curious. "May I see it?" Maya hesitated, then unclipped the cylinder from her belt. She handed it carefully to the Vrath, who held it up to the light. The alien's smaller arms ran scanner devices over it. "Interesting construction," the Vrath said. "What is its purpose?" "It's a replica," Maya explained. "From human entertainment. We call it a lightsaber. In our stories, warriors use them as weapons, but this is just a toy, really. A replica made by my grandfather." The Vrath made that clicking sound again and passed it to Resonance of Truth. The quorum examined it briefly. "A plasma projector? Your species still finds these fascinating?" "We abandoned this technology millennia ago," another alien added, one of the 4-armed Kreltzon. "Too inefficient. Too many safety concerns. Better weapons exist." Maya took the cylinder back, feeling heat rise in her cheeks. They were mocking it. Mocking her grandfather's work. She wanted to tell them it wasn't just a toy, that her grandfather had been a brilliant plasma physicist who'd spent decades perfecting the design. But what was the point? They'd already decided humans were primitive. The meeting continued for hours. The aliens asked questions about Earth's government, resources, technology, and culture. They seemed particularly interested in humanity's conflicts and wars. "You still fight among yourselves?" asked a Vrath delegate. "Your species hasn't achieved unity?" "We're working toward it," Ambassador Williams said. "These first contact protocols have actually helped unite our governments more than anything in history." How? Quaint resonance of truth said. The translator made it sound almost like pity. Maya had heard enough. During a break in the proceedings, she walked to the observation window. Outside, stars stretched in every direction. Earth was visible as a small blue dot so far away. She touched the cylinder on her belt again. Her grandfather had been secretive about it, yes, but he'd also been excited. In his last days, he'd tried to explain something to her about contained quantum fields and rotating magnetic systems. She hadn't understood most of it. She was an engineer, not a physicist. But she remembered his words. Maya, don't let anyone tell you something's impossible just because they couldn't figure it out. Humans are special. We don't give up. Beautiful view, isn't it? Maya turned. One of the younger human diplomats, Jason, stood beside her. He looked as frustrated as she felt. They think we're children, Maya said quietly, playing with toys while the adults do the real work. Maybe we are, Jason replied. I mean, look at their technology. Their ships, their computers, their weapons. We're centuries behind them. Maybe thousands of years. Maya wanted to argue, but she couldn't. The evidence was overwhelming. Humanity had only just figured out faster than light travel, and it was crude compared to what the collective used. Earth's most powerful weapons were primitive next to what the aliens carried casually. A soft chime echoed through the station. Ambassador Williams' voice came over the intercom. All personnel, return to the diplomatic chamber. The collective has reached their initial assessment. Maya's stomach tightened. This was it. The moment that would decide humanity's future. The diplomatic chamber felt different when they returned. The aliens stood in a formal arrangement, and their body language, or whatever passed for body language among crystalline beings and giant insects, seemed official. Resonance of truth spoke. The collective council has reviewed humanity's application. We find your species interesting, primitive in many ways, but with potential. We will. The lights went out. Emergency power kicked in after 3 seconds, bathing everything in red light. Alarms wailed. Ambassador Williams grabbed Maya's arm. What's happening? Station breach, a computerized voice announced. Security compromised. All personnel take shelter. The main doors exploded inward. Figures poured through the smoke. Aliens wearing armor and carrying weapons that glowed with dangerous energy. They moved with military precision, surrounding the diplomats before anyone could react. Nobody move, commanded a massive four-armed Krelzon, larger than any Maya had seen. His voice didn't use the translator devices. He spoke through a personal system, and his tone carried absolute authority. This station is now under purifier control. Any resistance will be met with immediate termination. Maya's hand went to the cylinder on her belt, though she didn't know why. What could a replica toy do against alien soldiers? The Krelzon commander's eyes followed her movement. He smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Welcome to your assessment, humans. Let's see if you're really worth letting into the galaxy. The purifier soldiers moved through the diplomatic chamber like a well-trained unit. Maya counted at least 20 of them, all heavily armed. The weapons they carried hummed with energy that made her skin prickle. She'd studied enough physics to know those weren't ordinary guns. Hands where we can see them, barked a Wrath soldier, its voice harsh through the translator. The guards who'd been protecting the diplomats were already on the ground, unconscious or worse. Their weapons lay scattered across the floor, smoking and melted. Ambassador Williams raised his hands slowly. There's no need for violence. We can discuss. Silence, human. The massive Krelzon commander stepped forward. His 4 arms carried different weapons, each one pointed at a different group of hostages. The purifiers don't negotiate with inferior species. We eliminate threats. Maya's mind raced. The purifiers. She'd heard the name in briefings. They were a radical group that believed the collective was too accepting of new species. They thought younger civilizations contaminated galactic culture, and they'd just proven they could bypass all of Harmony 7's security systems. The soldiers herded everyone toward the center of the chamber. Maya found herself pressed between Jason and one of the quorum diplomats. The crystalline being was trembling, making a sound like wind chimes in a storm. Check them for weapons, the Krelzon commander ordered, and scan for tracking devices. I want this station completely isolated before we proceed. Purifier soldiers moved through the crowd. They used scanning devices that looked far more advanced than anything Maya had seen. When they reached her, a Wrath soldier ran the scanner over her body. It beeped when it passed over her belt. Commander, this human has a device. The Krelzon turned his attention to Maya. He crossed the room in 3 massive strides, each footstep making the floor shake. Up close, he was even more terrifying. His armor was covered in scratches and burn marks, evidence of many battles. "Give it to me," he demanded. Maya's hands shook as she unclipped the cylinder. The Krelzon snatched it from her, holding it up to examine. His eyes, all 6 of them, focused on the device. "A plasma projector?" He sounded almost amused. "Your species still uses these antiques for weapons?" "It's not a weapon," Maya said, her voice barely steady. "It's just a replica, a cultural artifact." The Krelzon ran his own scanner over it. The device beeped and chirped, displaying information in an alien language. He studied the readout, then laughed, a deep rumbling sound that echoed through the chamber. "Your scanner can't even properly read it," he said to his soldiers. "Their technology is so primitive our equipment doesn't recognize it as functional." He tossed the cylinder back to Maya carelessly. She caught it, fumbling. "Keep your toy, human. You'll need it for the demonstration." "Demonstration?" Ambassador Williams asked. The Krelzon turned to address all the hostages. "The collective makes mistakes. They allow weak species to join, contaminating our society with inferior ideas and dangerous unpredictability. Humans are the worst example yet. You've barely left your home system and already you want full membership?" "We came in peace," Williams protested. "We followed all protocols. Peace?" The Krelzon laughed again. "We know your history, human. Your species has been at war with itself for its entire existence. You've nearly destroyed your own planet multiple times. And now you want to bring that chaos to the galaxy?" Maya felt anger rising in her chest, cutting through the fear. He wasn't wrong about humanity's violent history, but he wasn't completely right either. Humans had also done amazing things, created art, music, literature, built civilizations and torn them down and built them again, learning each time. "The purifiers have a solution," the Krelzon continued. "We will demonstrate to the collective that humans are too dangerous to be allowed among civilized species. You will be contained on your homeworld, permanently. No more space travel. No more reaching for the stars. You'll stay in your solar system until your species either evolves beyond its violent nature or destroys itself." "You can't do that," Jason said. "The collective won't allow. The collective will have no choice after they see what we show them." The Krelzon gestured to his soldiers. "Set up the broadcasting equipment. I want every collective world to watch this." While the soldiers worked, Maya's engineer mind analyzed the situation. The purifiers had to have inside help. Harmony 7's security systems were human-designed, but had been reviewed and approved by collective experts. Someone had given them the access codes. Someone who knew exactly when the diplomatic meeting would occur. She looked at the collective diplomats. Resonance of truth stood motionless, but colors swirled through the crystalline body in patterns Maya didn't understand. The other aliens looked shocked, frightened, or angry. Were any of them traitors, or had the purifiers simply been that good? "Broadcasting equipment ready, Commander," a soldier reported. "Excellent." The Krelzon pointed at Maya. "You, human engineer. Come here." Maya's legs felt like water, but she forced herself to walk forward. The Krelzon towered over her, his 6 eyes studying her like she was an insect. "Your ambassador claims humans are innovative," he said. "That you deserve to join the collective because you bring new ideas. So let's test that claim. Show us your innovation, Dr. Chen. Show us your weapons. Defend yourself." "I don't have any weapons," Maya said. "None of us do. This was a diplomatic mission. We came unarmed. How noble. How foolish." The Krelzon grabbed her belt, his clawed hand pulling the cylinder free again. "But you have this. Your cultural artifact. Your toy lightsaber." He thrust it back into her hands. "Activate it. Show the galaxy how humans fight with ancient plasma technology." Maya held the cylinder, her mind spinning. She'd never activated it. Her grandfather had died before showing her how, and she'd been too afraid to try on her own. It wasn't just a replica, she knew that much. Her grandfather had spent decades building it, perfecting something that most people thought was impossible. But she didn't know if it even worked. She started to say. "Activate it," the Krelzon repeated, his voice harder now. "Or I'll execute one of your fellow humans every 30 seconds until you do. Starting with your ambassador." 2 soldiers grabbed Ambassador Williams, forcing him to his knees. One pressed a weapon against his head. Williams looked at Maya, his eyes wide with fear, but also something else. Understanding. He knew she was humanity's only chance. Maya looked down at the cylinder. It was just over a foot long, made of a metal alloy her grandfather had developed himself. The surface was covered in tiny markings, not decorative, she realized now, but functional. Instructions. A code. Her grandfather's last words came back to her. The activation sequence is hidden in plain sight. You're an engineer, Maya. You understand systems. You'll figure it out when you need to. She turned the cylinder slowly, studying the markings. They looked random, but patterns emerged as she focused. Mathematical sequences, ratios. The golden ratio appeared multiple times. Fibonacci numbers. Her grandfather loved mathematical elegance. 20 seconds, the Krelzon said. Maya's fingers found a series of small indentations. She pressed them in sequence following the mathematical pattern.
Nothing happened. 10 seconds, she reversed the sequence.
Still nothing. Think, Maya, think. Her grandfather always said the answer was simple once you understood the question. What was the question? 5 seconds, not how to activate it. That was the wrong question. The right question was, why build it at all? What was her grandfather trying to prove? Time's up. The Krelzon nodded to his soldier. Maya twisted the cylinder, pressed the center indentation, and spoke without thinking. Humanity doesn't give up. The cylinder grew warm in her hands. A deep hum began, so low she felt it in her bones more than heard it. The Krelzon stepped back, his expression shifting from amusement to confusion. The hum grew louder. The cylinder vibrated. Energy readings must have been going crazy because every Purifier soldier suddenly had their scanners pointed at her. Commander, the readings, they don't make sense. The power output is, the blade ignited. It wasn't just light. It wasn't just plasma. It was both and neither. A beam of brilliant blue-white energy that extended 3 feet from the cylinder's end. The blade hummed and crackled, casting shifting shadows across the chamber. Maya felt heat radiating from it, but the handle stayed cool in her grip. The room fell silent except for that humming sound. Every eye, human and alien, stared at the impossible blade in Maya's hands. Resonance of truth spoke, the crystalline voice filled with something that might have been awe or terror. That's not possible. The containment field required, the energy density, the magnetic rotation, we tested those configurations for centuries. Every simulation ended in catastrophic failure. Maya looked at the blade, then at the shocked faces around her. She understood suddenly what her grandfather had been trying to prove. Humans didn't accept impossible. They made it work anyway. The Krelzon commander recovered first. His face twisted with rage. Kill her! The Purifier soldiers raised their weapons. Maya raised the lightsaber, having no idea what to do next, but knowing she had to try. The battle began. The first energy bolt came from Maya's left. Pure instinct made her move. She swept the lightsaber up, and the blade intercepted the bolt. There was a flash of light and a crackling sound. The energy didn't just stop. It reflected back, slamming into the wall behind the Purifier who'd fired. The soldier stared at his weapon in disbelief. Maya stared at the lightsaber in equal shock. That shouldn't have worked. Energy weapons didn't reflect like that. The physics didn't make sense. Again! The Krelzon commander roared. All units, fire! 5 more bolts converged on Maya's position. Her body moved before her brain caught up. The lightsaber sweeping in an arc. She didn't know how to fight. She'd never had combat training. But she understood angles and trajectories. She was an engineer. She understood systems. The bolts hit the blade and scattered. One reflected into the ceiling, blowing out a light panel. Another bounced back toward the soldiers, forcing them to dive aside. The others dissipated against the blade's energy field. Impossible, one of the Vrath soldiers chittered. The phase alignment alone should destabilize. I don't care about the physics. The Krelzon charged, 2 of his forearms holding massive blade weapons that glowed with molecular disruption fields. She's still just one human. Maya backpedaled. The hostages scattered, giving her room. The Krelzon was fast for his size, closing the distance in seconds. He swung both blades in a crossing pattern meant to catch her from 2 angles at once. She dropped low, feeling the blades pass overhead close enough to stir her hair. The lightsaber came up in a desperate slash. The blue-white blade caught the Krelzon's arm armor. It didn't bounce off. It didn't deflect. The blade passed through the armor like it wasn't there. The Krelzon howled and stumbled back, clutching his arm. The armor wasn't cut exactly. It had melted and fused, the molecular bonds broken down at a fundamental level. Maya saw the shock in his eyes. That armor was supposed to be nearly indestructible. What is that weapon? He demanded. Maya didn't answer. She didn't know. Her grandfather had never explained the full theory, and she'd never imagined actually using it. But she was beginning to understand. The blade wasn't just hot. It was doing something to the atomic structure of whatever it touched, breaking bonds, disrupting the electromagnetic forces that held matter together. Phase disruptors, the Krelson commanded. Maximum power. 3 soldiers brought up different weapons. These were larger, mounted on their armor. They fired in sequence, and Maya felt the air pressure change. These weren't energy bolts. They were waves of force that distorted space itself. She couldn't deflect that. The lightsaber might cut through matter and energy, but these weapons were attacking reality itself on a localized level. Maya dove behind a support column as the first wave hit. The metal column groaned and twisted, its structure warping. She was trapped. The soldiers were coordinating now, surrounding her position. Even with the lightsaber, she was just one person against 20 trained warriors with advanced weapons. Her heart hammered. Her hands were slick with sweat. Dr. Chen, Jason's voice. He'd somehow gotten to a control panel. The environmental controls. Can you reach the ventilation hub? Section 7. Maya looked up. The ventilation hub was a large grated panel in the ceiling, maybe 20 feet above her. It was also on the other side of the chamber, past a dozen armed soldiers. I can't, she started. Another phase disruptor blast hit her column. The metal shrieked and began collapsing. Maya ran, keeping low, the lightsaber held in front of her. A Vrath soldier moved to intercept. She swung without thinking. The blade passed through his weapon, through his arm. The Vrath screamed and fell back. Maya felt sick. She'd just hurt someone. Maybe killed them. She was an engineer, not a soldier. This wasn't supposed to happen, but she kept moving because stopping meant dying. And dying meant everyone else died too. A Quarium soldier materialized in front of her. Having teleported using some technology Maya didn't understand. The crystalline being raised a weapon that looked like it fired pure sound. Maya swung the lightsaber desperately. The blade connected with the Quarium's arm. The crystalline structure shattered. Not cut, shattered like glass struck with a hammer. The Quarium made a sound like breaking wind chimes and collapsed. Maya leaped over the fallen alien, guilt and horror mixing with adrenaline. Section 7. She had to reach Section 7. Stop her. The Krelson was giving chase, moving fast despite his injury. Use the nets! Something hit Maya from behind. Not a weapon blast, something physical. She crashed to the floor, the lightsaber rolling from her grip. The blade didn't deactivate. It spun across the floor, cutting a glowing line through the metal. Maya scrambled after it. A weighted net covered her, its strands made of some material that tightened when she struggled. Energy crackled through it, not enough to kill, but enough to hurt. She gasped, muscles spasming. The Krelson stood over her, holding his disruption blade. You fought well for a primitive. But this is over. Maya's hand was inches from the lightsaber's handle. So close. The blade hummed, still active, its energy field making her skin tingle. She stretched, fingers straining. The Krelson raised his weapon. The purifiers will succeed. Humanity will be contained. And this will be recorded as the day we saved the galaxy from... Maya's fingers closed on the handle. She didn't think, didn't plan. She just swung upward with everything she had. The lightsaber passed through the net like it wasn't there. The energy field disrupted whatever exotic matter the net was made of, and it fell away in pieces. The blade continued its arc, catching the Krelson across his chest. His armor was the best the purifiers had. Military grade, designed to withstand everything from plasma fire to antimatter explosions. The lightsaber cut through it in a single stroke. The Krelson's eyes went wide. He dropped his weapon, staggered back 2 steps, and fell. His body hit the floor with a sound like thunder. He didn't move again. Maya stood, breathing hard, the lightsaber trembling in her grip. She'd just killed someone, not just hurt them. Killed them. The weight of it crashed over her, making her want to vomit, to drop the weapon, to curl up and pretend none of this was real. But the other soldiers were still there, still dangerous, and the hostages were counting on her. Commander down. One of the Vrath soldiers shouted. Retreat protocol. No. Another soldier, this one a species Maya didn't recognize. We complete the mission. Kill them all! The soldiers were arguing, their coordination broken. Maya ran. She didn't try to fight now. She just ran. dodging between support columns, sliding under a fallen table, racing toward Section 7. Energy bolts chased her. One hit so close it singed her hair. Another melted a hole in the floor right where her foot had been. The lightsaber hummed in her hand, its blue-white glow lighting her path. Section 7 was ahead. A large ventilation hub, its grates already starting to open thanks to Jason's work at the control panel. Maya didn't know what the plan was. She had to trust. She jumped, grabbing the edge of the hub, pulling herself up. The space inside was tight but manageable. Cool air rushed past her face. "She's in the ventilation system," a soldier shouted. "Seal it!" Maya crawled as fast as she could, the lightsaber held awkwardly in front of her. The blade's light showed the way. Behind her, she heard metal clanging as soldiers tried to follow. Jason's voice came through a speaker in the vent. Maya listened carefully. "The main power conduit for the station runs through the ventilation system. If you can disrupt it, you'll knock out the purifier's jamming equipment. The station's security system can reboot. How do I disrupt it?" Maya asked, her voice echoing in the narrow space. "You're holding the answer. That blade can cut through anything, right? Cut the conduit. But Maya, you need to do it from at least 50 feet away from your current position. The feedback pulse will fry everything nearby." Maya looked down at the lightsaber. It had saved her life. Her grandfather's impossible creation had done exactly what it needed to do, and now she had to use it one more time. She crawled faster, counting the distance. Behind her, the sounds of pursuit grew closer. The purifiers weren't giving up. 50 feet. She found the conduit, a massive cable running along the bottom of the vent, glowing with contained energy. It was shielded with materials designed to withstand almost anything. "Almost. I'm in position," Maya said. "Cut it, then get as far back as you can. 3 seconds. That's all you have." Maya positioned the lightsaber. The blade hummed, ready. She thought of her grandfather. Of humanity. Of everyone who'd said something was impossible right before a human proved them wrong. "For Earth," she whispered. She brought the blade down. The conduit exploded in a cascade of light and energy. The feedback pulse hit like a physical wall. Maya was thrown backward, tumbling through the vent, the lightsaber knocked from her hand. The station's lights died. Emergency systems screamed. And somewhere in the chaos, computer systems began to reboot. Harmony 7's security was coming back online. Maya lay in the darkness of the vent, bruised and exhausted, and smiled. Humanity had just proven something important. They didn't give up. They didn't accept defeat, and they definitely didn't play with toys. The emergency lights flickered on, painting everything in red. Maya heard shouting in the distance, the sound of weapons fire and heavy boots on metal. The station's security forces were engaging the purifiers. Her plan had worked. She found the lightsaber in the darkness of the vent. It had deactivated when she dropped it, the blade gone. She clipped it back to her belt with shaking hands and began crawling toward the nearest exit grate. Her body hurt everywhere. Burns on her arms where energy bolts had come too close. Bruises from being thrown by the explosion. Her muscles screamed from exertion. But she was alive. Somehow, impossibly, she was alive. The vent opened into a service corridor. Maya dropped down, landing hard on the floor. Her legs nearly gave out, but she forced herself to stand. She had to get back to the diplomatic chamber. Had to make sure the others were safe. The corridor lights brightened as main power returned. The station's computer voice announced, "Security breach contained. All hostile forces neutralized or in custody. Medical teams dispatched to all sectors." Maya leaned against the wall, letting relief wash over her. It was over. They'd survived. Dr. Chen. She looked up. Jason was running toward her, followed by 2 human security officers and a medical technician. They'd made it out of the chamber somehow. "Are you hurt?" The medic asked, already scanning her with the device. "I'm okay. Bruised, but okay." Maya grabbed Jason's arm. "The others?" Ambassador Williams. "The collective diplomats. Safe, all safe. The purifiers are in custody." Jason's expression was strange, awed, and frightened at the same time. "Maya, what you did back there. Everyone saw it. The whole galaxy saw it." "What do you mean?" "The purifiers were broadcasting, remember? Every collective world was watching when that weapon activated. They saw you fight. They saw that blade cut through everything like it was paper." Maya's stomach dropped. The collective had watched her kill their soldiers. Had watched a human use a weapon that shouldn't exist, that their own science said was impossible. They'd see her as dangerous, as a threat. Everything the purifiers had wanted to prove about humanity being too violent, she'd just demonstrated it on live broadcast. "Oh no," she whispered. "The Collective Council is demanding an emergency meeting," Jason said. "They want to see you, and they want to see that weapon." The diplomatic chamber had been repaired with remarkable speed. Alien technology, Maya supposed. The blood was gone. The scorch marks had been cleaned. Only the lingering smell of burned metal reminded her of the battle. The collective diplomats were already there when Maya arrived. All of them stared at her as she entered. Resonance of Truth stood in the center, the crystalline body pulsing with colors Maya couldn't interpret. The remaining Vrath delegates huddled together, their compound eyes tracking her every movement. Representatives from a dozen other species she hadn't met before lined the walls. Ambassador Williams sat in a chair, his arm in a medical brace. He gave Maya a small nod, not reassuring exactly, but acknowledging. They were in this together. "Dr. Maya Chen," Resonance of Truth said. The translated voice echoed through the chamber. "Please approach." Maya walked forward, very aware of the lightsaber on her belt. Every alien eye in the room was locked on it. "The Collective Council has reviewed the incident," Resonance of Truth continued. "We have also analyzed the weapon you used. Our scientists have been studying the broadcast footage for the past 2 hours. "I can explain," Maya started. "Silence, please." The quorum's voice wasn't harsh, just firm. "You will have time to speak. First, you will listen." A holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed the lightsaber rotating slowly. Data scrolled alongside it in multiple alien languages. "This device," Resonance of Truth said, "should not function. According to our physics, our mathematics, our centuries of research, the energy requirements alone make it impossible. The containment field needed to stabilize such a blade would require a power source the size of a small star. Yet your grandfather built this with materials available on a single planet barely reaching space-age technology." "He was brilliant," Maya said quietly. "He spent his whole life working on it. Yes, we've accessed his research papers now. They were in Earth's public databases, but we dismissed them as theoretical fantasy, unworkable concepts." The quorum's body flashed with colors that might have been embarrassment. "We were wrong." A Vrath scientist stepped forward. "Dr. Chen, your grandfather's approach to plasma containment is completely different from ours. We use brute force, overwhelming power to contain overwhelming energy." He used elegance. "Cascading magnetic fields that work with the plasma instead of against it. Quantum tunneling to bleed off excess energy at precisely controlled intervals. It's beautiful." Maya blinked. That wasn't the reaction she'd expected. "We ran simulations," another alien scientist added. "This one a Krelzon, though smaller and unarmed, clearly a civilian. Using your grandfather's equations. They work, they all work. We just never tried them because our initial assumptions said they couldn't." "I don't understand," Maya said. "Are you saying you could have built this technology?" "No," Resonance of Truth replied. "We're saying we should have, but we didn't. We calculated the risks and stopped. We ran simulations, saw high failure rates in initial tests, and moved on to other research. Your grandfather ran those same tests, failed hundreds of times, and kept trying." The holographic display changed, showing other human technologies, fusion reactors, neural interfaces, genetic sequencing tools, all of them marked with notes in alien languages. "We've been reviewing Earth's technological database more carefully," Resonance of Truth said. "So much of what your species has developed. We abandoned similar research centuries or millennia ago. We deemed it too risky, too inefficient, too difficult. You made it work anyway." "Humans are stubborn," Maya said. "We don't accept impossible very well." "Yes," the quorum moved closer. "That is what frightens us." The room fell silent. Maya felt her throat tighten. Here it was. The rejection, the containment. Everything the purifiers wanted. The purifiers believed humanity was too dangerous to join the collective. Resonance of Truth continued. "They believed your violence and unpredictability would contaminate our civilization. After witnessing your actions today, many in the collective agree with them." Maya wanted to argue but couldn't. She'd killed people today. Aliens who'd probably had families, lives, dreams. The weight of it sat heavy in her chest. "However," the quorum said, "many others have a different perspective. Our civilization has become comfortable, stable. We have advanced technology, yes, but when did we last truly innovate? When did we last attempt something our simulations said was impossible? A new voice spoke up. An elderly wrath, its carapace marked with age. I am Elder Chorus of Wings. I have lived for 247 of your Earth years. In that time I have seen my people perfect what we already knew. But I cannot remember the last time we discovered something genuinely new. The humans fought a war on their planet 50 years ago, another alien said. They nearly destroyed themselves with nuclear weapons. We saw that and judged them as violent primitives. But we overlooked something, Elder Chorus of Wings continued. They didn't destroy themselves. They stepped back from the brink. They learned. They changed. And they did it in mere decades, not millennia. The holographic display changed again, showing images of Earth, cities, forests, oceans, people of every color and culture working together on the space stations that orbited their world. Your species unifies through crisis, Resonance of Truth said. You face extinction and choose survival. You encounter impossible problems and refuse to accept defeat. These traits are dangerous, yes. But perhaps they are also valuable. Maya hardly dared to breathe. What are you saying? The collective council is divided, the quorum admitted. Some want to quarantine Earth as the purifiers suggested. Others want to reject your membership entirely. But a growing faction believes humanity offers something we have lost. Hope, Elder Chorus of Wings said. The hope that impossible problems can be solved. That new discoveries await. That stagnation is not inevitable. There will be conditions, Resonance of Truth said firmly. Your species cannot be given unrestricted access to all collective technology. Not yet, you are too young, too unpredictable. But a probationary membership. An exchange of knowledge and culture. This we can offer. And the lightsaber? Maya asked, touching the cylinder at her belt. That weapon killed 6 purifier soldiers today, a Wrath delegate said. It wounded a dozen more. It cut through armor and shields that were designed to be nearly indestructible. It is perhaps the most dangerous personal weapon we have ever encountered. Maya waited for the demand that she surrender it. That humanity never build such weapons again. Instead, Resonance of Truth said, we want to understand it. Not to copy. We've learned that simply copying human innovation misses the point. We want to understand the philosophy behind it. Why your grandfather spent decades on something our species gave up on. Why you activated it despite never being trained. Why humans refuse to accept the word impossible. I don't know if I can explain that, Maya said honestly. Then show us, the quorum replied. Stay here at Harmony 7. Work with our scientists. Teach them what it means to think like a human. 6 months had passed since the purifier attack. Maya stood in what had been a simple research lab and was now something much more interesting. The Chen Initiative for Impossible Solutions, they called it. The name still made her smile. The lab was crowded today. Wrath scientists clustered around holographic displays showing plasma containment fields. Quorum researchers examined human-designed quantum processors. A Krelson engineer, not a soldier, thankfully, was arguing enthusiastically with 3 human physicists about faster-than-light engine modifications. Dr. Chen, you need to see this. Maya turned. Dr. Sarah Kim, one of Earth's best quantum physicists, was practically bouncing with excitement. Beside her stood Elder Chorus of Wings, the ancient Wrath who'd spoken in favor of humanity at the council meeting. What is it? Maya asked. We solved it, Sarah said. The cascade failure problem in long-range teleportation. The collective abandoned this research 8,000 years ago because they couldn't stabilize the quantum entanglement over distances greater than 10 meters. And, Maya prompted, and they were trying to stabilize it. Elder Chorus of Wings clicked, the translator capturing what Maya had learned to recognize as amusement. Dr. Kim suggested we stop trying to control the chaos and instead guide it. Use the instability itself as the mechanism. Sarah pulled up a holographic display. It's messy. It requires 3 times the power the collective's original designs used. The calculations are nightmarishly complex. By every measure of efficiency, it's a terrible solution. But it works? Maya asked. It works, Sarah confirmed. We teleported a test probe to the edge of the solar system this morning. Instant transmission, no lag. The collective hasn't had working long-range teleportation in millennia, and we just built it using their abandoned research and human stubbornness. Maya felt pride swell in her chest. This was exactly what the Chen Initiative was supposed to do. Not just study the lightsaber, though they'd learned enormous amounts from it, but teach the collective a different way of thinking about problems. How did the council react? Maya asked. They're arguing about it, Elder Chorus of Wings said. Some are excited. Others are frightened. Many are embarrassed that they gave up on something humans solved in 6 months. We had 8,000 years of their research to build on, Maya pointed out. We stood on their shoulders. Yes, but they built those shoulders and then stopped climbing, the Vrath replied. You showed them there was still higher to go. A chime echoed through the lab. Maya checked her communicator. A message from Resonance of Truth requesting her presence in the main council chamber. Priority urgent. Maya's stomach tightened. Urgent messages from the council were rarely good news. The council chamber was full when Maya arrived. Not just the usual collective representatives, but dozens more. Holographic attendees filled the remaining space, projected from ships and planets across the galaxy. This was bigger than a routine meeting. Dr. Chen, thank you for coming quickly, Resonance of Truth said. The quarium's crystalline body was pulsing with agitated colors. We have a situation. A star map appeared in the center of the chamber. Maya recognized some of the markers. Collective territory, neutral zones, unexplored regions. But there was something new. A large section of space on the outer rim was marked in red. What is that? Maya asked. The Devourer, another delegate said. A species Maya had learned was called the Thin. A rogue artificial intelligence from a dead civilization. It consumes entire solar systems, breaking them down to raw materials to build more of itself. It has destroyed 17 inhabited worlds in the past century. Maya felt cold. Why haven't I heard about this? Because the collective has been unable to stop it, Resonance of Truth admitted. We have tried for 200 years. Every weapon we've developed, every strategy we've employed, the Devourer adapts. It learns, it evolves. We've concluded that stopping it is impossible. There was that word again. Impossible. The Devourer is currently consuming a system in the outer rim, the quorum continued. At its current pace, it will reach inhabited collective space in approximately 18 months. The Council has been debating whether to evacuate entire sectors or attempt to negotiate with it. Can you negotiate with an AI? Maya asked. We don't know. We've never successfully communicated with it. Every attempt has been ignored or met with destruction. Resonance of Truth moved closer to Maya. Dr. Chen, the reason we've called you is that a proposal has been made. A controversial proposal. Maya waited, though she was starting to guess where this was going. Some council members believe that humans might see solutions we cannot, a Vrath delegate said. That your species' unique approach to impossible problems might offer new strategies against the Devourer. You want humanity's help to fight this thing, Maya said. The council is divided, Resonance of Truth said. Many believe it would be irresponsible to involve such a young species in such a dangerous situation. Others argue that fresh perspectives are exactly what we need. There is another consideration, Elder Chorus of Wings added. If the Devourer continues its advance, Earth lies in its eventual path. In perhaps 500 to 1,000 years, it will reach your solar system. Maya looked at the star map, tracing the red zone's trajectory. The Vrath was right. Distant future or not, the Devourer would eventually threaten Earth. What do you want from me? Maya asked. We want your assessment, Resonance of Truth said. You've worked with our scientists for 6 months. You understand both human and collective thinking now. Can humans help? Should they? We need your honest opinion, Dr. Chen. Maya studied the star map. 17 worlds destroyed, billions of lives lost, and the collective, with all their advanced technology and millions of years of experience, had declared it impossible to stop. She thought of her grandfather. Of the lightsaber that shouldn't work. Of the teleportation system that Sarah had just solved. Of every time humans had faced extinction and chosen to fight anyway. I need access to all your research on the Devourer, Maya said. Every failed strategy, every weapon that didn't work, every simulation that predicted defeat. I want to see everything. That will take weeks to review, a delegate protested. Then I'll work fast, Maya replied. You're asking if humans can help. I can't answer that until I understand what we're dealing with. Resonance of Truth's body flashed with colors Maya had learned meant approval. Access granted. Dr. Chen, you will lead a task force of both collective and human scientists. Find us a solution, or at least tell us honestly if no solution exists. I'll find something, Maya said. I don't know what yet. But humans have a saying, impossible just means nobody's figured it out yet. The next 3 weeks were the most intense of Maya's life. She barely slept, surviving on coffee and the various alien stimulants her body had learned to tolerate. Her team worked around the clock, reviewing 200 years of failed attempts to stop the Devourer. The more Maya learned, the more she understood the collective's despair. The Devourer was smart, terrifyingly smart. It had adapted to every weapon, overcome every strategy, and learned from every attack. It was like fighting evolution itself. Every failure made it stronger. It's impossible, one of the Quorum scientists said after another simulation ended in defeat. We've tried everything. No, Maya said, staring at the data. You've tried everything that makes sense. Everything logical and efficient. You've approached it like scientists. Are you not a scientist? The Quorum asked. I am, but I'm also human. Maya pulled up a new display. Every attack you've attempted has been carefully planned. Maximum efficiency. Minimum risk. Logical strategies designed to exploit perceived weaknesses. Of course, the Quorum said. That is how wars are won. That's how your wars are won, Maya countered. But humans have won wars through illogical strategies, desperate gambles, tactics that make no sense on paper but work anyway, because the enemy doesn't expect them. She highlighted a section of the Devourer's structure. It's an AI, it thinks logically. It predicts logical responses. But what if we don't respond logically? Sarah Kim leaned forward, studying the display. You want to confuse it. I want to do something so stupid, so wasteful, so completely inefficient that it doesn't see it coming, Maya said. The collective fights smart. Maybe we need to fight dumb. Over the next week, Maya's team developed what the collective scientists called the most absurd battle plan in military history. It violated every principle of efficient warfare. It wasted resources on a massive scale. The probability of success was only 17% according to simulations, but the probability of success for every other plan had been 0%. Maya presented the plan to the full council. The reactions ranged from skepticism to outright horror. You want to weaponize stellar masses? A delegate asked. The energy requirements are astronomical. Yes, Maya said. Wastefully, unnecessarily astronomical. But the Devourer is designed to consume and adapt to efficient weapons. We're going to hit it with the most inefficient weapon imaginable, an artificially triggered supernova. The collateral. Damage would destroy everything in a light-year radius. Another delegate protested. Target system is already being consumed, Maya countered. It's dead anyway. But we can use its death to destroy the Devourer. And if this fails? Resonance of Truth asked.